How you going? I feel weird facing this pole. I know you spend a lot of time on the lights, but I'm just going to shift a bit so that everyone can cop a load of me. You know. No, actually, Cameron, this is my good side. Okay, welcome to the Songwriter Speaks in the Channel, presented by APRA, AMCOS, Unified and the Arts Centre. My name is Wally Kempton, or Roderick II, as Cameron knows me as.
Of course, yes.
I've known Cameron for quite some time. As just a bit about me, in case you're wondering why this big hairy bastard's up here asking questions, is that I'm a muso as well, playing bands that Cameron's played with, and had a booking agency for a while and represented his band Bodyjar for some time.
Yep.
And so we go way back. I've still got my, because Cameron is in obviously the band Bodyjar, but before they were called Bodyjar, they were called Helium, and before they were called Helium, they were called Damnation.
Oh, yeah, you've got a very good memory,
Like a steel trap, or like an elephant, some would say. And I've still got my Damnation demos at home, which is... I
apologise for those in advance.
No, bloody good, don't you worry about that. First question to you, Cameron.
Okay.
Songwriting is usually a very private enterprise. Do you actually feel comfortable talking about it in this public forum?
No, I don't actually. I don't feel comfortable talking about it.
Okay, well, that's about it for us tonight.
Wrap it up. No, I don't mind.
Is it a little weird actually doing this?
It's a bit weird because I've never done it before, but I love songs and I love talking about them.
Yeah.
And I love, reading about them. I read a lot of sort of rock biographies and a lot of I watch a lot of documentaries on rock and roll and songwriting, and it's just always been I guess it's a bit of a hobby. It's a personal.
Man's got to have a hobby.
Man's got to have a hobby. Yeah, so that's how I look at it. It's something I enjoy. Yeah, I enjoy finding out about.
What is your preferred method of doing this songwriting? Is it the melody first, then the lyrics, or the lyrics first, the entire,
That's a good question. I always wonder that about other people, but for me, it's always music first for some reason, because I think primarily I'm a guitarist rather than a singer. The only reason I sing in Bodyjar is because no one else wanted to do it. I sort of got lumped with it, and I'm the only dude who could do two things at once. So I wish I could just play guitar, but the first thing I do is come up with a good riff, and then once I've got that good riff, I need another good riff that sounds good after that riff. It makes it lift a bit, So and then after we get all the music worked out, I try to work out the lyrics. That's just because it's just easier for me to do it that way. I wish I could write the lyrics first, but I usually have an idea of what I want the song to be about just by the sound of the music. Sometimes that sort of clues you in a little bit.
Yeah. How do you come up with that sound of the music, though? I mean, you just get it inspirationally walking down the street, or do you set time aside to just go, okay, I've got to think of something now? Is it jammed out in the rehearsal space?
Sometimes that's the best way, jammed out. I like having a jam with just a drummer. Just get in a room with a drummer and a loud guitar, and just he can play some drums, and I'll try and play a riff along with it. And you might come up with some gold, and I always just record it. It might be, that was gold. Record that on the phone quickly, and then take it home and try and take it further, or show someone else. And it's usually pieced together like it's a bit of a puzzle. You get the first bit, but you don't know if that's the verse or the chorus until you find the other bit. But generally, it's just getting inspired by something, another band. Go and see a band live. Usually get inspired to come home and try and write something that's up there with what you just saw, or maybe you've got an idea in your head. I want to write a really fast song, or I want to write something that's a bit more heartfelt, or you have an idea of the style, but you don't know what's going to come out. Every time I try to write in a certain style, it never comes out how I want it to, but it's something else. So, I make it into something.
Well, I've never struck you as a soul singer, so...
As a soul singer?
You probably wouldn't want to try that.
You haven't heard my solo stuff? No.
I think I might like to. Do you remember the very first song you ever wrote?
It would have been back in the Damnation days before Bodyjar, there was Helium, and then Damnation, and we basically just played covers, Metallica and The Cult and Misfits and TSOL and American sort of punk. And we tried to write a song like a Misfits song, and it was about a ghost or something, I can't remember now, and it was really bad, like sort of bad cross between Metallica and Misfits, like really bad, just 3-chord sort of metal. I can't remember what it was called, but it's probably on that demo you've got that I want to get off you and destroy. So, yeah.
I was surprised years later when you had that album Take a Look Inside, which is still a personal favourite.
Oh, thank you.
And I did have a listen to the Damnation tapes around that time and thought, well, it still stacks up. I don't know whether it would now, because I haven't listened to it many times.
It's just a different style, I guess. It's that first album, when we play live, we don't play anything off it, hardly at all. Sometimes Time to Grow Up, the single. But the rest of it, I feel like we were 17 when we made it, and I feel like it was like a learning process. And a lot of the songs just don't mean much to me. We did it with Bill and Stefan from Descendants, who were massive. We were massive fans of Descendants and all. And we signed to Shock, and they gave us the opportunity to record our first album with these guys while they were out here on tour. And I don't think, deep down inside, I don't think we were quite ready to make an album. I don't think you should be allowed to make one until you're 18 at least. And luckily those guys guided us through it because they're professionals and they're an amazing band and they're great songwriters, and they pushed us away from bad ideas and brought in some new ideas, but they could only do so much, you know what I mean? And so we got a decent album, but we should have maybe waited. Just because they were out here on tour, we had to just do it.
I think you're being a bit harsh on yourself, but we'll move on. Now, the Descendants guys were a massive influence on you regardless, weren't they?
They were, yeah, from the very start. I think it's one band that everyone in the band had in common, Descendants and all. They were melodic, they were punk rock, and we wanted to play like punk rock, but we wanted it to have melody and tunes, and like we wanted it to be catchy and memorable, and that's exactly what they were. And I remember one of the first Bodyjar shows, we got a review in Press or something, and it said they sounded like Descendants' little brothers. That was how, and we thought, oh, that's cool. We can work with that. That's rad. That's a band that we respect. So we're happy with that. Let's try and go in that direction. And then we got to do the album with them. So it was like working with your heroes.
You've never been accused of ripping them off, I hope.
Well, no, I mean, like, I don't think consciously, but I guarantee, there'd be a few things in there that we've ripped off lyrically, and you steal ideas from people. Even the best songwriters, I think, definitely. You just got to steal from good people, from good writers.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? But there's little things in there that we sort of stole their style a little bit. Where we tried to sort of, we tried to make ourselves into something that was comparable to them, but we're not, obviously never at that really high level. But I think by the time we got to the second album, we turned a corner and it was a little bit heavier, and we'd found our own sort of sound that had a little bit of that in it. You know what I mean? So I think that's what you got to do as an artist, is all those influences, put them together and try and come up with something unique. That's what every artist sort of wants to be, I guess. For
sure.
I guess.
Now, I remember you saying that you had songwriting classes at school.
I actually, we just had I just did music at school until about, I guess, year 10, and then I actually gave some songwriting lessons at Lilydale High School when this is probably 5 years ago. I started teaching guitar to year 7s and year 8s, and then I did a little songwriting, sort of, I guess, the songwriting thing with them every Wednesday, just in the morning, just a little, and just taught them a few little, very good at taunting people. Just taught them little things, but it was pretty low key.
So if you did music at school up to year 10, then you'd know a bit of theory.
Not really, a little bit. I don't reckon theories. I think I'm not very good at theory. I know how to read tablature. Like everyone knows how to read tablature if you know how to count.
Really?
And you would for sure, wouldn't you? Really?
What's tablature?
The 4 lines. Every line is a string on the guitar and all that. And I don't know any theory, but I know what I think sounds good. I think sometimes it's good not to know what should happen. I think sometimes you need to do, with the Meanies. The Meanies have got so many.
That's 3 of my questions.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. But I think, especially with the Meanies, your band, they play these songs that sound right, and then all of a sudden something happens. It's so out of the spectrum of what's in the song, but the melody goes with it and it works. And you wouldn't do that if you knew the theory, because the theory would make you say no, that doesn't work. Exactly. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. But yeah, Link Meanie's a bit of a.
He's an amazing songwriter.
He's
have a listen to him. He is a genius. Yeah, it's got that Ramones kind of vibe to it, but it's got some weird, twisted, out there thing that makes it unique. So big influence.
You mentioned before how you like to write with a guitar and with a drummer.
Yes.
Have you got that ability in your scon to just be wandering down the street and think of a melody and a tune, and without having to have the guitar there as well?
No, I wish I could. I don't have that, like how Paul McCartney woke up with, yesterday in his head. It was called Scrambled Eggs. Scrambled eggs.
Oh, my darling, I love your legs.
Yeah. I've never done that. I have to have the guitar there to do it. It sounds like something mythological that it couldn't really happen. Someone couldn't sit there and just be struck with an amazing melody and lyrics, but it does happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, apparently. Never happened to me.
That's the easy way to do it, though, I reckon. Yeah. That's.
You're not the sole songwriter in Bodyjar, though, are you?
No, there's so Grano, the bass player. He's one of the original members. He writes a lot of stuff on guitar as well, and Tommy writes stuff as well. You know. So.
And is it with you or separately to you, and they submit their own songs?
It used to be with me, but as you get older, obviously you can't spend as much time with each other. Now we just write by ourselves and email ideas around, and you know, sometimes he'll send me like a whole song with drums and everything, and he just wants a melody and vocals, so I put one over it and send it back, and he tells me what he likes and what he doesn't like, and I fix up the weak spots and keep the strong parts, and it's just a process of elimination, you know what I mean? So, and Tom sometimes he'll just do the whole song, and we'll go, that's great, let's just all learn that, and maybe I'll tweak a few lyrics or something if I have to sing it. But yeah, it's real collaboration now. So everyone has a little say in it, you know.
Technology's helped a lot in that respect, hasn't it?
It's amazing. I mean, you guys write songs, yeah, or are interested in songs, and you can see how far it's come now. Like you can virtually write a song on your phone, you know, with GarageBand and, you know, and all that stuff. And it's amazing, yeah. Just
that whole, you know, I've got this verse, Cam, can you have a listen to it? And he sends it over and...
Totally, hey.
And like you said before, when you're in the jam room and you go, well, that sounds good, and you record it on the phone. What did you do before the phone?
Exactly. Well, I used to have this little twin cassette tape thing. You know, I used to be able to dub cassette to cassette, and I swore by that thing. I held on to it. I've still got it, but I was using it last year for the last album. I'd drag it into the jam room because it sounded great when you recorded it in the jam room. Awesome. And I'd have to like fast forward to find the idea or rewind, you know. There's a good idea, I know. I've still got tapes that I know if I went through them I could find something, you know what I mean? And then someone would come over and you'd try and write a melody and you'd tape that, and then, okay, let's try and put the chorus, tape that, and then at the end you'd have the full song. It is kind of easier than scanning through all these, you know, audio notes that don't have names or anything. You know, they're just dates, and you just listen, no, it's not that one, no, it's not that one. But if you hear it, it's like audio cue, you know. So I still back the stereo. I would go to an op shop and try and find one and get a bunch of D90 cassettes.
I've got an unopened pack at home.
Have you really?
Yeah.
That shit is gold.
I know.
Don't ever open it.
Do they have a use by date? Surely not.
No, I don't reckon.
Mechanics.
It's all magnetics.
You also said if Tom comes and says, I've got this complete song, and you go, yeah, that's awesome, but you want to tweak the lyrics. Where do your lyrics come from? Is it always personal stuff? Is it you make up a story? Is it always girl meets boy and falls down in love?
Boy meets grill. Yeah, it could be. I mean, I think I try to write about life experiences like everyone does. You don't want to write about something that you don't know about or that you can't express truthfully, because people can hear that if you don't know what you're talking about. So I try to write about things that I think I know about, and if I write from someone else's perspective, or if it's Tom that wrote the lyrics, I try to respect that and not put my ideas into it, if you know what I mean. But it could be anything. It could be something that's just pissing you off, or something you read about in the paper. It could be relationship things, you know. I think that's a really strong theme. It could be anything. There's a lot of different themes, I guess, on Bodyjar songs, and that's, you know, so... But there's a few little social sort of issues, and there's a few political things, but it's mainly sort of personal stuff, I guess.
So you don't feel obliged that you have to send a message or anything? It's more just like stream of conscious, what's going on in your head?
Sometimes, yeah, stream of conscious songs are good. There's one of them probably on every album where you can just blurt out stuff and sort of it ends up painting some sort of picture. I mean, Nirvana Nevermind, if you look at those lyrics, it's just like a verbal kind of collage of like, you know, really singable lyrics, but they don't explain literally everything he's thinking about, but they paint an amazing, really powerful picture just from phonetically sounding so good when they're sung that, you know, there's singable words and there's words that aren't singable, and all those are, you know, you've got to have a word that's singable and it has to be powerful. And I think that says a lot when you can just paint a picture and just blurt out some words and it just creates a vibe, you know. I think that's really cool too, but I'm very good at that myself, but yeah.
There he goes, hanging shit on himself again.
But yeah, you know.
When was it that you said, hey, I'm a songwriter? How far into it? Or have you got there yet?
No, I haven't got there yet. No, I think you're always learning. But I I think when you do your first album, it used to be a really big deal just to put out your album, get it on CD, because it was when we put out one, you couldn't burn them. And I think when we first, when you first see your name as a songwriter, you get pretty stoked, and that was cool. That's probably when we thought, okay, we can take this seriously, and we've got to write some better songs for the next album. But I think you just got to constantly, you can't rest on your laurels. I don't think so. I guess we just keep going. But
that
when you join APRA as well, you have to sit down and work out the splits and all that sort of shit.
Little plug in there.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, but I'll come back to that in a sec. You don't know what I was thinking then. Kim had a good question before. The expectation and the process of you writing a song once you have, you've got that name in brackets and you go, well, this is what people expect of me. So this is the theme I'm going to go on. Or if you have a hit, do you go, okay, how do I write the next one? Or do I just go about my business and hope for the best?
I know what you mean. Like, you have a certain bit of success with a certain style of song. I think artistically you don't want to go and repeat yourself. I mean, you want to make a good album that has an eclectic sort of mix of songs, but I guess it pays, Yeah, I mean that's the eternal artistic question, isn't it? You want to be different with your next album, but you don't want to alienate the people that liked the last album as well. So it's finding that medium between a unique original sound and sort of finding your sound as well.
For sure. I mean? But once you do have a hit, do you feel obliged to write another one?
You probably feel a little bit of pressure from maybe the record company or something to get, if you haven't already in the demos, maybe they haven't heard something and you want to, okay, let's write another 4 and hopefully it's one of these, but you don't know what, I don't think you can go out and write it in a particular way and say, I need to write one the same in that style.
And you've never consciously gone, I'm going to write a hit record.
Write
a hit song.
And what is
the formula for that?
No, you just don't know. And I think if you push it in a certain direction that that you think might work, it'll sound, and you labour over it. It's going to take a lot of work to get it right because it's not going to come out naturally. The best songs are written in like 10 minutes and they come out naturally. If you labour over them and force them in a certain direction, they sound like they're laboured over. They sound like they've been overthought, and it's negative, I reckon. Yeah.
Do you sometimes have parts of songs you go, that's not working, I'll come back to it later?
Yeah, heaps. Yep. Yeah, we've got, like, there's one riff that we've had floating around for about 10 years. I always try and put it in a song, but it never works. And Grant's always like, that one again, no. So, but I'm backing it. I know it's good.
No, because
it's cursed. I can't fit it in yet, but I'll get it there.
Because he doesn't like it.
He just doesn't like it.
Ah, jeez.
That's no excuse, though.
No.
Anyway.
Now, you've toured the world and elsewhere with lots of magnificent bands, and that would give you the chance to collaborate with others. Do you ever get the urge? Have you ever done it?
Yeah, we've done. I mean, we did Too Drunk to Drive with Adelaida. You're in the video for that. So yes, she came on board and sung a verse and part of a chorus, and that was amazing. She's so talented, and we were really lucky that she agreed to do it, basically. So we collaborated there, and on the last album, Role Model, we did a song called Hope Was Leaving, and we got Joey from Lagwagon to sing on that, and Stefan Egerton from All, who's massive idol of mine. He he wrote a part for the song and played a solo. So little bits and pieces, but I've never really sort of sat down and collaborated. I did something with Living End, a couple of songs with them, but nothing. I think mainly it's just been writing for Bodyjar and Cola Wars, which is another band that I've sort of been playing in a bit, and and then little bits and pieces here and there for a couple of little things that on Sony, like I wrote a couple of kids songs for like a kids television show. Yep. They wanted some like just real fast sort of punk stuff. So I just quickly wrote 4 sort of throwaway sort of songs, and that was kind of fun. It's like a bit of a musical challenge, So
have you ever done like that? Any other TV stuff or
not really. Stuff? I mean, some Bodyjar stuff's probably been used here and there, but nothing.
Nothing specific.
Nothing being written specifically for it. No.
There's a fella called Phil from the band Nursery Crimes. He did a bit of songwriting with you in the early days, yeah?
Yep, he did. He helped us write a few songs on the first album and then disappeared for a couple albums, then came back. I think How It Works, he co-wrote probably 4 or 5 on that. He's helped us a lot, over these. I think he used to manage us for a few years and book us or whatever. And he sung in a band called Nursery Crimes, and in the early days they were like, we just loved them. They were just a band that we followed around, and they played with the Meanies, your band, a lot. And we would like just go to every gig because it was sort of around the time when Nirvana and like the grunge explosion was happening. But there was I wasn't really into that, like Mudhoney and that.
Neither was I.
I was more into like punk and stuff, and it was before Green Day and Offspring. And I was surprised that Nursery Crimes and Meanies were like probably the only two bands that were doing that style, more energetic sort of style that I really related to. So, and Phil was like he is a really good songwriter, really good melody man. Like he just comes out with these amazing melodies, you know.
Good front man too.
Yeah, great front man.
Speaking of that, Hope Was Leaving that you mentioned, there was a fella on the website today that Nathan Williams, who's Nathan Williams here? Hey, there he is.
Hey.
Nathan was keen to know the process behind writing that song in particular.
Hope Was Leaving.
And Petty Problems as well.
And Petty Problems. Well, Hope Was Leaving was Grano. He came up with all the guitar, and we changed the chorus probably 3 times, I reckon. It was really laboured over that. The verse melody, that was easy, but then as what usually happens is you get to the chorus, you're like, okay, how do we lift the song here? Because like it's done this. And I think we tried probably 3 different options on the demos, and eventually we sort of fluked one. We might have even got Phil in to help. If I ever get stuck, sometimes I'll ring Phil and say, have a listen to this, what do you reckon? And he'll go, what about this? And I'll go, that first line is really good, you know. So it does, like, we laboured over it a lot, but I had to get some outside help to make that one happen. And then getting Joey to sing on it helped it a bit. And then Stefan Eggenen wrote that middle part where he played the solo and wrote the sort of the tempo change part. So it was like a mishmash. That rarely happens, you know, but I think it worked for that song, which is rare, you know. So, and then Petty Problems was all Grano, the bass player in Bodyjar. He wrote all the music pretty much. And we changed the chorus a couple of times, but yeah, I think I wrote the chorus, and he wrote the verse and all the other stuff. But that was the first song we wrote after having a break from the band for years and years, and we all came back to jam, and that was the first thing that came out, and it's the first song on the album, so it worked out good. Yeah.
Have you got any Twitter questions there, Andrea? Not yet.
Well, they're coming. Don't you worry.
They're coming thick and fast. Out of all the songs you've written, do you have a favourite?
I don't really.
I should have warned you about that question when we started.
I should have had a bit more. Yeah, a bit more. But that's all right. No, I think I really liked the song Role Model off our last album, Role Model. And it's just because it was really quickly written, and it just has something about it. And the lyrics were all written with the same day as the music. It's just got a consistent vibe to it, and it's got that sort of Bad Religion-y kind of. It's fast, but it's not ridiculously blur speed, you know.
And because you'd had that break, did you feel like, wow, okay, I've still got it?
Yeah, it was like, a real affirming sort of song. When I got that one down, I thought, yeah, cool, we can do this. Because I know it's good enough to be on the album. I didn't know if it was going to be a single, but I thought that's definitely a song that could, you know, it could be part of our new album or some new direction we're going in. And then Grano came up with Petty Problems, and that was like a basis. And it was even the theme of it, you know, the album sort of thing, yeah.
Did you have any doubts, personal doubts, when it was like, hey, let's do this again? Because you'd been away from it for a while.
I think we all had doubts. That's why we didn't want to announce anything until we knew we had a good album, you know. Because we thought we'll try and jam, because it'd been a long time, and we hadn't done a new album for probably 6 years, or maybe longer.
And how long since you'd played? At least 4, right?
Yeah. So we thought we'll have a jam and see what comes out, and the first jam was good, and then we waited until we had probably 5 or 6 good songs, and we probably wrote 15 to get that initial 6, and then once we knew we had that half an album, we thought, cool, now we can sort of announce it and let people know that we're doing another record. And yeah, but we all had massive doubts about it for sure, but in the end it worked out. So
yeah. Have you ever had writer's block?
Yep. Yeah, all the time. What can you do? I mean, yeah, you sit there and it's like, okay, come up with something. It's the worst when you're writing with someone, you know. And I remember writing with, I remember now, I have collaborated with After the Fall. I wrote a couple of songs with him, and I had massive writer's block. And because you're on the spot, you know, it's just performance anxiety. And you got to come up with something. It's like, I need to like take my time with this. But I think everyone gets that. I was speaking to Chris Cheney about heaps, and he gets it. He gets it for weeks, you know. Can't come up with anything, you know.
It drives him mad.
Yeah, you know.
But then they'll churn out 44 demos and
yeah, exactly.
And go, I don't know which one we want.
I mean, he's a genius when it comes to that sort of shit, you know.
Totally.
But yeah, so it's a common problem, I think.
Do you set aside time to write songs, or is it just coming to you all the time?
Now I have to set aside time, pretty much. Yeah, so
Now that you're a young dad.
now that I'm a young dad, and I've got like a little studio downstairs, but I have to leave the house to do it. So, okay, I'm going downstairs now. Is that cool? Yeah, no worries. And and I've got a couple of hours to sort of come up with some stuff. But it's really creative. It's a good atmosphere down there, and it's good. I think I can control it a bit more now. I can get the output happening when it needs to happen now because I have to.
Now you've got that special drum machine you were talking about.
Yeah. I've got Easy Drummer, which is an amazing sort of. If you're looking for drums, yeah. I mean, I'm not getting any money for plugging them or anything, but it's hard to record drums, and if you want to do demos by yourself, Easy Drummer or Easy Drummer 2, I've got, it's amazing. So good.
Nice plug. Do you have to be clear of mind before you write a song, or you ever written one where you're drunk or high, man?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, both. I mean, like back in the day. Yeah, I mean, anything that could alter your perspective a little bit might bring out something. Not that I would recommend it, but nowadays I'm pretty straight and sober. But I think look at the Beatles. The guy was smashed on LSD when they wrote all that stuff. And it's all genius.
Apart from the guys in the Descendants, what other songwriters out there are there that you think of the bee's knees?
Oh, I think Black Sabbath and the Beatles, definitely.
It's a nice contrast.
Amazing. Yeah, like if you listen
Put them together and you got Bodyjar.
Just no, like every album track, most bands have a few singles and a lot of filler, but both those bands, just every album track is amazing. I like albums that are like no filler. I think there's just heaps of good stuff. I like a lot of classic stuff. I listen to a little bit of hip hop and a lot of punk rock and a little bit of sort of classic rock. I love live albums as well. So yeah, I'm just trying to think, but I don't listen to a lot of like 90s sort of punk, but even I love Misfits and TSOL and early SST stuff. I love, Sonic Youth and Dinosaur Jr. and all that sort of stuff. I think all that stuff's amazing,
And what of anything recently that you might have heard or seen that you've gone, Jesus, I'm going to go home and write a song?
Like a band like the Bronx really inspires me. That last Bronx album I thought was just amazing, really strong. And, I like there's a few young bands around that I love watching, like the Clowns. I think they're a pretty amazing band. It's just really good mixture of melody and power, and so the Bennies, amazing. Luca Brasi, I really think they're cool. Like just good punk bands, good honest sort of punk.
You're a fan of the Poison City Records catalogue, then?
I am.
Yeah,
all
those bands are on there.
I am. Yeah, most of it I like.
I've got a ton more, but does anyone in the audience want to ask Cam a question? Yes, sir.
When I used to have more time.
Before you do, I think I have to repeat the question, don't I?
Oh, yeah.
So, better still, do you want to come up and ask it again into the mic? Come on up.
Is it for the internet listeners?
Yeah, for the interwebs people.
The interwebs
okay,
people.
Over to you.
Yeah, so when you're writing a song, do you sit down and think, all right, now I'm going to try write a song and see what you can come up with, or is it just you pick up the guitar or whatever for fun and then write something out of that?
Okay, yeah, I think when I was probably your age, it was more about, I'd just play guitar when I got home from work, school, whatever, and if something cool came along, I'd just tape it or remember it. But now, like I said, I've got to plan it. So now I do have to sit down and go, I've got to write or finish something. I find myself now that Pro Tools and all that sort of stuff, I've got about, there's always a few things on the boil, and half the time I'm just sitting down to finish something. I've got this song, it's got one verse and it's got a chorus, and I need to write the second verse, second chorus. And then every few days I'll go, okay, I'm going to try and come up with something new now. But yeah, I do. You got to put yourself on the spot a little bit and just say, right, time to come up with something new. And if you don't, it's kind of disappointing when you sit down, you decide you want to write something and nothing comes out, and you just got to walk away like you were beaten. But then the next time you do it, generally something good will come out. You know it. You can't predict it, but writer's block, all that sort of stuff. But most of the time, I can come up with something. If I don't, I'll just work on some that I've got sitting there.
When do you know it's like, okay, I've spent way too much time on this song now. I'm going to have to shelve it for a bit.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Like, yeah, like I said, it's going to sound like it's been laboured over if I labour over it too much. So the best thing to do is to walk away for a few days and come back and fresh ears, you know. You know, when you listen to something over and over again, you sort of justify things in your head. Oh, maybe that isn't so bad. Or then you walk away, you come back, nah, that sucks, you know, because you get a fresh sort of look at it, you know. So, but yeah.
And is it always these days in your little man cave that you
It's
have
always,
to do it?
it's always in my man cave, yep.
Can't write anywhere else. You have to be in that little surrounding.
I don't want to annoy anyone. I've got like a guitar upstairs, and Riggs might be trying to watch TV or something. You know, I don't want to like annoy. I want to just make noise and not annoy anyone. So that's why I made my little studio downstairs in this little basement, and I can go down there and just crank up an amp and make some noise without annoying the shit out of anyone. It's pretty annoying when you hear someone trying to write.
It's worse than sound check.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Drum sound checks.
Oh, I live for those, Cameron.
God, give me one right
drum
now.
check. Boom, boom.
Put one on the next album.
Just a drum check. Just me being stupid meant I lost the next part of the question.
Yep.
And I really have. So anything else from the crowd while I try to remember it? A Twitter question. Andrea, go for it. Do you want to read it out?
Yeah. Go on.
Andrea, everybody.
So the question is, what made you guys decide you wanted to come back and make music together again?
Okay. I think it was just this, you know, I guess it's like a relationship. You live in each other's pockets for a long time, and you tour and do a lot of stuff, and you don't get sick of each other. Like, I love the dudes, you know, but you need that break, and you need to really make a break. And we decided we never wanted to play again. And then, I don't know, the love for it sort of comes back, I guess. You sort of forget about all the negative things, and I guess you remember that there was some really, you know, good times, and we thought if we can do it on our own terms this time and just make an album and tour when we want to tour and just don't worry about any other pressures, it could be fun. And I'm glad we did, because that's how we do it now, and it works good. We just do stuff when we want to. So, yeah, but we've been around for, 20 years, so it's a long time.
Did any of the songs off the new record get written on the road, or at any stage of your career get written on the road? Oh,
just little bits and pieces, yeah. Grano takes like a guitar up to his room and a little amp and records things on his phone. But not really. I can't concentrate on writing if I'm on the road, really. Yeah.
Plus, for a lot of bands in Australia, we're just weekend warriors anyway, right?
Totally. It's hard. You're not on the road for like 3 months in Australia. Like in America,
exactly.
I guess most bands, you could tour for 2 years in America and not play the same place twice, so... And you get a big tour bus, and here you'd just be in a hotel room, and you'd be going home the next day anyway. So it's like, who you kidding?
I got this song. Leave it to rehearsal. I can't be stuffed.
Yeah.
Have you got a publishing deal?
Yep, Sony Publishing.
And has that been good for you?
Yeah, it's been really good. I reckon. Yeah, I like how they've handled things. Do you remember Simon Moore, who used to work there? He signed us back in the day, I think, when How It Works came out, and he was really cool. He was cool. He
is a very cool individual.
Yeah, I don't know where he looked like he should have been in a band.
He did. He works for Cobalt now, I think.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, I've found them to be pretty decent. I'm still not totally across what a publisher does. You and me both, buddy. But we've got a good manager. He looks after that sort of shit, and I trust him. But Sony, they're pretty honest and open,
And massive.
Yeah. Yeah, big.
So have they helped from time to time? Because a lot of people
They sort of give you a big bunch of money at the start and then just recoup it, as far as I know. And I guess they get you song placements and stuff like that. And they've done that a bit, We've had songs I've heard like intros on SEN and like, radio things and little parts of our songs on little things. And I think that's cool. Yeah. I guess that's what they do, yeah. And movies. Actually, they got me there was like a movie, and because I skate and I manage a skate shop, and it's a part of my life. And there was a movie that came out called Deck Dogs, and they got me, I wrote 2 songs for the soundtrack on that. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's something I forgot about. So yeah, I guess that they helped me get that. So yeah. Good job. No one remembers it or saw it, but good job.
Good job. The people are always, quoting other people, but there's Tom Waits once said something along the lines of songwriting is a rather frivolous pursuit and not a real job. It'd be good to know how to do something useful, like save a life. What do you say to that?
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's not really, is it? It's just like you're just finding this chord, and I can relate to that. It's not as important as being a paramedic.
Potentially changing people's lives.
Yeah, you are inspiring people, and that's what art is, isn't it? It's just supposed to inspire you, and that's what it does to us when we listen to songs that we identify with. It just makes you glad to be alive. Sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you a verse, chorus, middle eight, chorus out kind of bloke?
Hardly ever do a third verse. It's hard, and it's really hard to write a song that starts with a chorus. Everyone should try and do that if you're writing songs. Bon Jovi were really good at it.
Have you ever written one without a chorus?
Fuck no. Got to have a chorus. Have you?
I've never written a song in my life.
Oh, okay. Ask Link.
I've been lucky enough to hang around people who do.
But yeah, starting with the chorus is hard. Living out, I've done it a couple of times, but yeah. But I do like you try to mix it up a bit. Arranging is a hard job,
What about the Ramones? Their third verse was always the same as the first.
Same as the first, yeah. Beatles did that a couple of times too.
Mm. Do you have a muse?
Not really. I've had songs about relationships I've been in and stuff like that. Usually a drama or something bad that's happened. I don't know. Is that still a muse? Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, but no, not really. Not like an artist would. Not like a painter does, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another great quote. Sorry, another great quote that I saw that I like beautiful melodies telling me terrible things. I can't remember who said
That's
it.
a great quote. Great quote.
Have you got a few songs like that?
Yeah, I reckon.
Painting really bad pictures, but
but in
beautiful
friendly,
melody.
And a band that does that really well is Alkaline Trio, I reckon. This song's about hell and murder and that, but he sings them in such a nice way. I like that. Yeah, it's a great it's a great way to write a song if you can do it. We tried to do it on like Lights Out or something like that, I think, which is, some pretty terrible stuff going on, but I guess it's kind of catchy as well.
Paul Kelly manages to do it from time to time.
He does, yeah.
Maybe it was him that said it.
He's a genius.
Too right. While I flick through these, has anybody got a question for Cameron? Yes, Nathan. Do you want to come up and ask it?
Into the mic.
Because I'm terrible at repeating them.
Do you think too much about guitar tones when you're recording, like your album? And what kind of gear do you play through? On
the last, we always had Mesa Boogies, and they're like this big metal amp that just sounds like, and then we thought that was sort of a 90s kind of vibe.
Very 90s.
Very 90s, but we always tried to warm them up. They've had enough sort of mids for me, and now on the last album we played through an old amp that was made in like 1970 something. It was like
you're talking.
a JMI, which was like the company before Vox. And there's this combo that Tom Larkin's got in his studio that a lot of bands play through, and he reckons as soon as you plug in, that's the only amp you want to use for the whole album. And it was right. He goes, once you try this, you won't want to go back, and it was so true. It was amazing, and it sort of brought back my faith in old equipment. Older guitars always sound better than new guitars. Anything from the 70s is always going to sound better than a brand new, Les Paul, I reckon. Just having it played in, and, the wood's old, and it just sounds amazing. So, yeah, that was... I think in the last few years we've wound down the gain a little bit. I don't know if you guys... But, you can get that metal sound too metally. And I think once you double the guitars or triple them, like in some places quadruple them, it sounds too sort of metal, and it just blends into one. It doesn't have dynamics. So now we wind back the gain and have a bit more of a classic sort of tone. That's what I like anyway, just a classic tone, Yeah, with not so much metal.
I know it's not necessarily to do with songwriting, but your comment about stuff from the 70s tends to sound a lot better because it's worn in and it's...
Would you agree?
Oh, totally. But a brand new Fender bass or a brand new Gibson guitar now, do you reckon in 40 years' time they're going to be saying that about these? Or was it just a time? Because I don't know. I don't think they are.
That's a good question. I don't know. Is the wood they're using now as good as the wood they used before? It's all about probably the wood, isn't it? So I don't know. Then probably not as handmade as they, used to be.
That's a point too.
It's all about. I think they get the wood and they cure it and they let it stop bending. bends for a while, and then depends how long they wait. It could be a lot of things, hey, in a guitar.
Amplifiers too.
Yeah.
I mean, you have an old 60s Fender Twin that's going to sound a lot better than a brand new one. Does
Yeah.
that brand new one need to be 40 years old before it sounds great?
Well, does it sound? Yeah, I don't know. Or is the idea in your head of what a great sounding guitar is there because that's what you heard when you were?
This show is deep.
Yeah, now we're getting deep. Your idea of a great guitar sound is what you listened to when you were a kid.
That's got a lot to do with it too, I would imagine.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's all old equipment. And now these new ones sound different. But to kids nowadays, they probably sound great. And who knows? I mean,
It's the Twilight Zone.
yeah, this
Do
could go.
you personally believe that you improved as a songwriter over the years?
Yeah, I feel like I know what I'm doing more now. But, bands sort of, lose that spontaneity after a few albums. We try to not, just try and keep it spontaneous and has to have a bit of that. It can't be too laboured over. I've said it a million times, but I hate songs that sound like they've been worked too hard. So hopefully, I think we've all grown a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people use the term return to form. I hate that, but when I heard Role Model, it reminded me of classic
Oh,
Bodyjar.
cool.
So at least you're just as good as you were.
Thanks. That's what I think we made a way better album than, maybe the one or the two before that. Because we were just real conscious that it was going to get judged harshly because we were coming back after so long. So, now the idea is that we've made that and we're happy with it. And I think it's a strong album. I don't think there's any really weak songs on it. But now the challenge is to make the next one better.
So you're going to stick around and keep doing it.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And we've been demoing a lot of stuff and got a lot of new ideas. And so now it's just finding a sort of a few songs to hang on to create the theme, sort of thing. So
Your fear about it, that gap being scary, is like, oh, geez, do we still have it?
yeah.
What are people going to think of it? Spare a thought for Meanies, because we've got our first album in 21 years
Holy
coming out
shit,
next month.
really? Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, so you've got to get Link in to do one of these, Amanda. So
Yeah, get him in. I'd love to
Explain
ask
why
him a
the
few
hell.
questions. He's a genius. He'll be able to do it though. He's a clever guy, and but yeah, some of those old Meanies songs are classics, and that's the thing. I want him to write a classic Meanies album, but as an artist, he might want
Yeah.
to go in a different direction. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
but I'd
this-
love him to just write 3-chord punk classics.
I guess this is related to songwriting thing and what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. But that's one of the reasons Amini stopped the first time, is because we couldn't musically, musicality, we couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah, right.
So he was sick of doing the same old thing all the time.
Yeah, that's what you do. I mean, you move ahead, you try and change a little bit. I mean, we did the same thing, We made an album that could have even been a metal album, the self-titled album, because we just wanted to do something different. Because you're playing every week, and as an artist, you want to grow. But I guess it's just finding that medium, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where you've written a song and you're too scared to hand it over because you don't think the people that you're handing it over to are going to do it justice? Does that make sense?
I know what you mean. Like
Maybe not with Bodyjar,
like written a
because-
song, yeah, but you don't think they're gonna pull it off how you hear it
How
in
you
your
hear
head.
it in your head, yeah.
I've never really worried about that. I've always because I haven't written a hell of a lot with other people, and I've always had a lot of confidence in the guys in Bodyjar because they're pretty good players, So I've never really. I've always thought if it doesn't work out, we'll scrap it. You know what I mean? But there's been plenty of times when I've written a song that I thought would work really good, and we've tried it, and it just doesn't work. It works in my head and it works on my tape, but it doesn't work with the band in a jam room. It's
Tape.
For some reason, it's weird.
I borrowed Mum's car last night. It's got a cassette deck in it.
Serious? Get those the D90s out,
fucking
trying to make a
stoked.
compilation.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Any of your songs been so personal that they've been hard to play over and over and over again?
They are a lot of personal ones, but I try not to, when I'm playing them live, I try not to think about the root of the song, you know what I mean? I just want to deliver it well.
It's hard to sing while you're crying too.
Exactly. In between songs, just the tissues and all that, they get in the way. It's not rock and roll either.
No. Well, they'd think it was rock and roll. They'd think you'd been doing some blow and it was dripping or something. I don't know.
Pretty emo. Probably go down well today with emo core.
I hope you've never been referred to as an emo punk band, have you?
No, I don't think so.
Thank fuck for that.
Thank fuck for that, exactly. That's never been our go, actually. There's that weird period in the sort of early 2000s, where it was all fringes and crying. We used to take the piss out of that shit, but,
I know, I've seen your videos.
yeah.
The song that you've had to play over and over and over again, and you're just going, oh fuck, I'm so sick of it. Is there one?
I mean, there's certain songs that we have to play live. You know, not the same. One in a Million, Hazy Shade of Winter, Fall to the Ground. There's a few, but because the crowd's there, you don't. I hate playing them at the jam in the jam room. Sometimes we just won't jam them.
But sometimes when you don't, you get to the gig and you go, shit, how does this go again?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you do get a little bit sick of them, but because the crowd's there, and it sort of makes it fun, you know. I hate it when bands don't play their hits because they're sick of them.
Yeah.
That pisses me off.
It does piss me off too. But
You
you're
know,
lucky
like-
there's a crowd there.
Exactly.
You're doing all right.
They're there to hear that shit. You're there to entertain them. Play the songs they want to hear, for God's sakes. I mean,
Just do
don't get out there and play some obscure B-sides, you know. I'm not into that at all.
Although the other band, I mean, even we're at the stage where the crowd wants to hear the obscure B-sides.
Yeah, but you got...
Because it's the same crowd that comes every time.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
sick of hearing the same stuff.
If it's a band you really... I mean, I'd love Descendants to play all their obscure B-sides, I guess, you know. But I'd hate it if they didn't play Coolidge and Clean Sheets, and I want to hear those as well, you know. God, it's a weird world, isn't it?
Yep.
Strange world we live in.
Any other questions from the audience? Any Twitter ones? Yeah. Go, Andrea.
So from Twitter, from Susie, it's hard to pick a favorite song, but Cam, do you have a favorite Bodyjar album?
Oh yeah, I guess that's a good question. It's hard because they're all, you know, I like them. I'm proud of them. I don't like the first one, but
As in the Helium or the first Bodyjar
first
one?
Bodyjar record. I don't hate it, but I just don't like.
Do you just sweep the Helium
Kind
one
of
under
do.
the
I
carpet?
kind of just refuse to acknowledge it exists. I do.
Tough crowd.
It's hard. But No Touch Red was our third album. So there was Take a Look Inside, then Rim Shot, which was like a flat knacker technical fast album, and then I think we sorted our shit out by the time we got to No Touch Red, which was the third album. And I think that was our strongest point. That was our sound, really. And it was recorded after we did a massive tour in Canada that went for, it was probably 2 months. And then at the end of the tour, we
Jealous.
we recorded it in Montreal in this amazing studio, and all of us were playing so fast from playing every night. So everything's sped up and the voice is all a bit fucked up, but it just works with those songs. So yeah, I think No Touch Red, if I had to say one.
What does No Touch Red mean?
It just means keep going, don't stop, you know. Yeah.
I like it.
Thanks.
Producers in the studio, has anyone, you know, has there been someone that you really love working with, or do they get in the way?
In the studio, well, for that album No Touch Red, it was this amazing studio on a lake in Montreal. I don't know how this happened, but we wanted to use Jim Munro, who'd recorded Far Side Rigged. I don't know if you guys have heard of that album, but it's an amazing sort of punk. They were like a punk band, but more really clean, but good. And he only had to come from America to Canada then instead of coming to Australia, so it worked out good. We were on tour, and he was interesting to work with, and working in this studio was just unbelievable. We used to be able to, you could row a boat to the studio in the morning from where you were staying, and like Sting had recorded, Police had recorded Synchronicity there, and I think Saturday Night Fever was recorded there, and Corey Haim Sunglasses at Night, you know that song.
I love it.
So it had a bit of history. It was the first time we'd been somewhere that was decent. So yeah.
Have any producers sort of tried to influence your songwriting? Have they tried to change anything? Have they said, stuck their beak in?
Not really. We did How It Works and Plastic Skies was Kalyu Tonyama, who didn't change any songwriting, but he was a real Sonics guy. Like he wanted that drum sound and that guitar sound, and he'd put little things on top of what you did, but he didn't change much in the way of songwriting. It wasn't until we got to Role Model that we did with Tom Larkin at his studio. He is a producer. Like he comes to your jams and he's got notes on all the songs, and he'll go, try this part there, don't play that, play this, move stuff around. That's what we did for the first time on Role Model.
So an actual producer.
First time we've properly been produced, I think. And so he got rid of a lot of shit and brought in other aspects and changed drum parts and had vocal ideas and stuff like that. We've been left to our own devices pretty much our whole career as a band, I guess.
Do you think a producer deserves points, as they call them, to get cut in on royalties and stuff?
Only if they actually write lyrics and melodies, I reckon. Arrangement stuff, not really. It depends too. Like,
They'll ask for it, but you just say, fuck off.
We've never done it, I don't think.
I don't think I've ever either.
I think I don't think Helium maybe, but I don't think so. But I think if he sits down and goes, I've got this vocal melody and it's rad, and you use it, then yeah, he deserves songwriting points. But if he's just changing things around, I think that's his job anyway as a
You'd think
producer.
so.
You know?
Any producers in the audience who want to refute that?
Yes, anyone? I don't know. That's a hard question. I don't know. What do you reckon?
Oh, I usually tell them to take a long walk off a short pier.
Yeah, really? Yeah.
Um,
Because you'd paint him for the rest of it.
well, yeah, exactly.
It's,
But then some producers get so known and so famous for what they do is that they feel that their name on that record is helping sell it. So,
they can demand it, yeah.
yeah, so that's a different
I
kind
think
of
it's
thing,
different for
isn't
pop bands. Like, you know, a lot of pop artists and, you know, they'll have like 3 producers come in,
it?
you know, and they've basically written the song. You know, and the artist is more of a marketing tool.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like. And I think those guys probably deserve it if they're writing, you know, actually writing.
yeah.
But anyway.
Nathan, did you have another question? I think I saw your hand go up. Or did I imagine that? I was hoping it. Oh, we have it over here. You want to come up and ask it, please, sir?
With the producer on the last album, when they did put their views across, how did you feel about that? Considering you guys are used to your band writing the songs, and then to have someone else come in and sort of put their suggestions in, how did you feel? Like, was there any sort of like hesitation, or did you just welcome open arms, like we need ideas, sort of thing?
Yeah, that's what I think, because we were a bit unsure on how it would come out because it was the first album for 8 years or whatever. So we welcomed it with open arms. We sat down with him a few times before even recording the album to make sure he was the right guy, and he said that's what he wanted to do. And we were like, cool, this is going to be cool. This is going to be real production where we do pre-production, which we'd never really done. So yeah, we were cool with it. I think we're old enough now to realize he wants whatever's best for the song is what we're going to do. And if we can all agree on that, which we usually do, it makes the song better, then we'll do it. And it's kind of cool. It's really stimulating for me, coming from a job working 9 to 5, you know, most days, suddenly in a studio just being ultra creative for 10 days and changing things. It was so much fun. Like, I go to bed at night just thinking about what we've done during the day and go, I can't wait to get back there tomorrow and hear that and hear how it sounds, because it was, you know, just having this sort of sounding board, throwing around ideas, and he's got his ideas and we're all just it's just such a creative experience. It was a great experience, you know. He's a really good producer, I would say. You know, I would recommend him to anyone. He's smart and he knows what he's.
Was Tom Larkin a Bodyjar
Yeah, I don't
fan?
know. We'd played with him a couple of times. Look, he said he was.
Tom's in she had.
He said he was, but you know, I don't remember seeing him at the Tote back in the early days.
He
No,
was
he's
still
probably
living
because-
in New Zealand.
Oh, that's right. Well, yeah, fair enough. It's a good excuse, but I was a massive fan
Short
of
play,
She
right?
Had, like the General Electric. I think that's a great album. I bought that 3 times because I lost it twice on CD, and then I bought it off iTunes. I told him that.
If you could collaborate, I know we've spoken about this a bit, but if you could collaborate with anyone, who would it be?
Oh, Paul McCartney.
And if you could write a song for anyone, who would it be?
For anyone? Probably Amity Affliction, because then it would probably sell shitloads, and I'd fucking make a hell of a lot of money. Might give him a B-side or something. no,
Good
yeah,
thinking.
I'm not sure, to be honest. Yeah, that's a hard one. I guess a band that you respect, you know.
Do you think there'd be Bodyjar fans out there wondering who Paul McCartney was, like there are Kanye fans?
I hope not. I think most people would know Paul McCartney, and I hope
You'd
not.
want
That's
to know,
disgraceful,
so-
isn't it? That was just disgraceful. If you don't
Pretty
know who
weird.
he is, then yeah, you can fuck off. Seriously.
I think there was that great story yesterday about apparently Ringo confirmed that Paul did actually die in
That's
1966.
He's taking the piss though.
Oh,
Surely.
big time.
That's amazing. Hey,
Fuck, people are
I
stupid.
just watched a doco on Sgt. Pepper's. That one that's on YouTube. It's like a 50-minute. It's awesome if you guys haven't seen it. It's in 3 parts on YouTube. It's just like how they made it, the making of it, and interviews with George Martin and everyone. And it's just so cool. You hear about all the stuff they changed and like lyrics and stuff. It's amazing. Yeah.
Would you put a Bodyjar coffee table book out about the songwriting process and recording sessions?
Oh, nah. I don't think anyone would be. Yeah,
Oh,
would be into it. You know.
20 or 30 people.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a fun thing to put together. I love documentaries on recording. Like everyone loves. I don't know about you guys, but you know, in the studio and you know, classic albums and all those sort of things. Like awesome ones, like Def Leppard one is amazing. A stereo one. with Mutt
Yeah.
Lang. Mutt Lang's a
Mainly
genius.
because the guitarist is sitting there with his shirt off the
Yeah.
whole time.
Just in the studio, doing it for Anthony Kiedis. Yeah.
No, they're actually really informative, those.
Amazing, yeah. Like,
Classic
there's a
album
Back in
songs.
Black one that's good too. Yeah.
The Elton John one's pretty
Really?
exceptional.
That
The
would be
Goodbye
awesome.
Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, great album. I have to watch that one actually. Yeah,
Back in the days when he'd released 3 albums in 18 months. One of them being
that's
a double.
right. And the Beatles did that too. One a
Mm.
year, pretty much. Sometimes twice a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone? Any more for any more? Oh, we've got a couple.
Yep.
Over to you first, sir.
This is bare bones question, but like when you're writing, do you go for the melody first or the or like the chords? Do you just
Chords usually.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Sometimes I'll have the chords and then come up with a verse, and then I guess once you've got the verse and the chorus and the chords or a chorus, then you can come up with a melody without any music for the next part. But I need a bass, like something to start with, and it's always music for me. Yeah, I've never been able to find that magical melody without some music behind it. Yeah, I don't know. Some people do that, but yeah, it's beyond me.
Andrea?
So Russ Keys from Twitter wants to know, what was the reason behind the name change from Helium to Bodyjar?
Because Helium was kind of I don't know, it was a joke sort of band. That's what it felt like we were just screwing around. And I think when we changed, our drummer left, that's right. We had a drummer, Charles Zarafa, who bailed. And then we thought, well, if we're going to do this seriously, we've got to change the name, get a new drummer, get a bit more serious about it. So I think there might have even been another band called Helium as well.
I think that was more the case. Hate to
Was
tell you
it?
your own history, but
Can you remember that?
I think I can remember that there was another band
You've
called
got
Helium.
a great memory.
I told you. Yeah, there was another band called Helium, but I don't think it was.
They're not
You
around.
might have been wanting to anyway, because
I sort of thought that, but then I thought, I don't know what happened.
sucks, but
What happened to them? Are they still around? Not that anyone really gives
I
a
don't
shit.
know. I think they're currently residing in the Where Are They Now file.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Anyway.
yeah, I guess it was just was a lot of reasons. But I'm glad we did, because that was a shit name. Very bad.
Bodyjar is an unusual name. I've always liked it, but
Yeah.
where did it come from?
It's a skate reference. I remember there was like a picture in Thrasher magazine that we used to read, and it had there's a trick called a body jar, and the guy was doing it like in a sequence sort of shot in an ad, and it had a little body squashed into a jar, like as the graphic. And we thought, that's really cool. Jim Phillips did the graphic, who's like the Santa Cruz artist, and he's amazing. And we thought, how good would it be to steal that and have that as our logo sort of thing. And yeah, just plagiarism basically, yeah. But we use it as one word, whereas I think in skateboarding it's two words, and
So you got away with it.
it's sort of just, we did
Win.
get away with it, yeah. A win, yeah.
Well, I think apart from the fact that I've run out of questions, it's time anyway. I think it's nearly 8 o'clock and we've got to get the hell out of here. So thank you, Cameron.
No worries, thanks. Thank all you guys for coming along too. Would have been pretty bad if you didn't. So yeah, it was awesome fun. Thank you.
Could have been like that thing in Spinal Tap. No one turns up to the signing.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Kick my ass. I'm telling you.
I'm not
Kick my
asking,
ass.
I'm telling. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was Cameron Baines from Bodyjar on Songwriter Speaks in the channel, brought to you by APRA Amcos Unified Arts Centre. And next week, Luke from Violent Soho is going to be in Cam's seat. So thanks very
cool.
much.
That's awesome. Cheers, guys.